Well, here we are.
Good morning.
Good morning, Susie.
We're here. We made it.
We made it. So,
Um,
day four.
yeah, and this is, I think, the topic that I'm most excited about. I think it is a slightly misunderstood or can be underutilized, underleveraged
All those
topic.
things. Yeah.
Yeah. So what are we talking about?
What is, and believe it or not, it still get asked, but what is Supplier Sync?
Mhm.
And I think I want to add some other things to it. How does it grow sales? How might it improve organic search traffic? How might
Yeah,
it benefit your business?
I'm gonna go ahead and make a quick prediction that we're gonna go over 10 minutes on this one.
Well, you know, look, you can't fault us for being optimistic and wrong. when we
Yeah.
thought when we thought 5 or 6 or 10 minutes would work. So here we are.
Well, yeah. So we start with what is supplier sync?
Yeah. So Supplier Sync is something that's been around Workstand about as long as I have, which is pretty cool. I think 2011 we released it. But the idea is that your suppliers, your brands and suppliers have warehouses full of inventory. How
Mhm.
can we take that inventory, pipe it into your Workstand website, and allow you to display that to your shopping customers in a way that expands your offering? We certainly don't want it to complicate things. So we'll talk about the tools you can use to curate that content. But how can you leverage that inventory in the warehouses to improve search results because people are searching for things
Mhm.
and grow sales because now you have a broader offering to your customers. So just like you would say to somebody in the store, well, we can order that for you. This is a more efficient way to do that because now you're saying, oh, that's available in our warehouse. Do you want to pick it up here on Friday or should I ship it to your house?
Mhm.
So it's a very efficient way to do that and grow the inventory without growing the inventory dollars that you invest in.
Yeah, you don't have to. I don't know. There's only you can only stock so many things. You can only make so many decisions to guess is what's going to be best for your local shopper, and this helps to
Yeah, exactly.
build it out.
And
Yeah.
sometimes it can even help with stocking decisions. So, the
Hmm.
third or fourth time you get an order for something that's coming out of the warehouse on your website, that may be a good thing to add to your stocking plan.
Hmm.
And we can take a look at that in settings and supplier sync. And we'll talk mostly about the US, though there are warehouses in Canada as well. And we're going to use Brian's uh, demo site that he uses for new hosted demos
Don't break
because
anything.
he's got all the suppliers turned on. You
Yeah.
may not want all of them. So here are all the warehouses that are connected in the US. And each of these, it's a self-serve thing. So you can, as a business, you can turn these on by checking the box and decide if you want, for instance, all of Giant's US warehouses, or maybe you're on the West Coast and you only want the West Coast warehouse.
Hmm.
And then once you do that, you'll also, let me skip ahead down to the bottom here. For each of these that you enable, you'll want to put, or you actually have to, it'll make you put a little label in here. And the only place these labels are seen are when a consumer puts a product in the shopping cart. Then you see the little label of where it comes from. The
Hmm.
shipping time is for orders that are picked up in store. And so if somebody orders something from the warehouse and they're picking it up in store, this number of days gives you a little buffer so that you don't have to have somebody thinking they can order it and run right down to the store. It'll actually calculate a date based on this number of days and show that
Hmm.
in the order. And then you also have a piece that we won't spend a lot of time on, but because it can be complicated, but supplier promotions. So some suppliers will send us sale and closeout data, and this allows you to easily participate in that sale and closeout data for products that you don't stock. That way, you don't have to worry about trying to figure out what the promo price is when you don't normally have it in your point of sale system. This handles that for you.
Hmm.
So, clear enough so far?
I think so. Um, but yeah, what I really love though is like you have. I think people get overwhelmed that you could just like turn this on and you have no control. You have an abundance of control with
Yes.
what shows up, what categories, brands, all that good stuff. So, should we dive into that? Or talk about maybe a quick note about who has access to Supplier Sync?
Yeah. So, what happens with Supplier Sync? changes a little bit based on the website subscription. So if you're on the light subscription, this is not in play at all. Light's only going to display the bike variations you have in stock. But if you're on local or pro, this data comes into play. On local, what happens is, and again, this is Brian's site that I don't look at a lot, but let's see how we're doing. Let's pick something. I don't know why I'm always fixated on bottom brackets.
Huh.
But if you have on local, if you have one of the versions of this bottom bracket in stocks, and I'm sure there's Italian and in English threaded or coded and standard, if you have one of those variations in stock, then we will fill in the blanks with the warehouse. And so if you have, let's say there's 4 different versions of this bottom bracket, you've got one of those versions in stock, and JBI, JMB, or HLC has the other versions. We'll show those and blend that together with your in stock inventory. And based on what you call these stock status labels, and the default is at warehouse, it'll
Mhm.
show either in stock or in warehouse based on where that product is. So, in a nutshell, that's it. And so that's pretty cool because this is actually turned out to be a really good example because I don't know that many stores are stocking Italian threaded bottom brackets these days. But in this way, if the warehouse has them, you can still present that to your consumer. So if your Pinarello or Pegaretti shopper comes by, and instead of
Mhm.
going, oh, they only have the English threaded, now they'll know you can get them the Italian threaded bottom bracket. In fact, they can just buy it. And we'll talk in a subsequent episode about supplier fulfillment, but some of those suppliers actually do a drop ship program through our interface. And so
Mhm.
in that case, you could actually never touch this thing. Just push a button, send it to a supplier. They'll pick, pack, and ship it on your behalf. But that all rests on the basis of Supplier Sync being able to show that inventory in the first place.
Yeah.
On Pro, um, it will show all the warehouse inventory whether you stock any of those variations or not. And so
Mhm.
now it really even grows to where maybe you don't stock ceramic speed at all, but because the warehouse has it, they'll show up on your website and you have an opportunity to win the search because people are searching for these specific things. And without these specific things on your website, it's pretty hard to win that search. So now you can win that search and then B, convert the sale because now here I am. I found it at a place that's local to me. May want to pick it up in store. I may want it shipped to me, but either way, you have a chance to win that search and convert that sale. And that's really the power of Supplier Sync. But, but as you can see, that Brian has all these boxes checked because it's
Mhm.
good to, for a demo, you want to be able to show all the warehouses depending on which dealer you're talking to. But it can be overwhelming. And my favorite example is we want to expand what you're showing and leverage what the suppliers have done by working with us to create this content
Mhm.
to leverage that and sell more. But we also don't need to put things on your website that are just wildly off your normal plan or
Mhm.
that don't help you support your key suppliers. So for instance, maybe you have a good, better, best floor pump. Maybe you're a specialized dealer. I love specialized floor pumps. I have one that I've had for almost 20 years.
Mm.
You got your good, better, best floor pump from
Mhm.
Specialized. You don't really want to turn on J and B and have 45 other floor pumps show up on your website. And so you can use these exclusion settings to come into the catalog and exclude. And of course, now I got to figure out where floor pumps are. Inflation. Probably looking right at it. There you go.
There we go.
So I can
No.
say don't show, and it's a little backwards in that you check a box to enable the supplier, but here these are exclusion settings. As you
Mhm.
check these boxes, you're excluding whatever category that is next to it. So maybe I don't want to show floor pumps and frame pumps that come from the warehouse because I want to make sure I've got plenty of access to the good, better, best options I have on the floor. That's what I want on the warehouse. I don't want somebody buying a floor pump I have to order, especially because it was blue, and and they don't really care what the floor pump is, but it was blue and they like blue, and now I got to order a floor pump.
Mhm.
So in this way, we can curate that out. I'm not going to save that because I don't want to. Brian gets. I don't want to throw him off when he goes looking through his demo. But you can exclude that, and so you can go through and be pretty selective. And this is
Mhm.
kind of like we talked about the other day, shipping rules aren't set and forget. Neither are these. This is something you can manage on an ongoing basis
Yep.
and say, you know what, I turned all those floor pumps off, and it seemed like I get less phone calls. I'm going to turn those back on.
Mhm.
And you can play with it to find the right balance. Because if you don't care about, say, triathlon gear, well, then maybe you don't want wetsuits and things showing up on your website. That's completely reasonable. If you don't have any expertise in that, it may not make sense. Some
Yeah.
stores take the approach almost like Brian's demo site. I want everything, every opportunity I can get to sell something. I can
Mhm.
respect that as a salesperson. But if your staff isn't really into that, and they don't really want to try and answer questions about wetsuits, or whatever else it is, then use these exclusion settings to curate that content so that you're expanding the offering, but you're not going beyond what your store can support with your customer base in a professional manner.
Yeah. So what about brands within
Yeah.
exclusion settings?
So you can use these exclusion settings by brand, category, or model year. And frankly, I don't think most stores are using model years or brands using model years, so almost nobody ever plays with that part. But by brand, you can, and we will automatically exclude some brands, and we'll
Yeah.
do that because, for instance, Camelback, you have to have a dealer agreement with Camelback, no
Mhm.
matter where you buy it from. I think that's how it works. So we
Yeah.
automatically exclude that. But if you're cool and you sell Camelback, then you can come in and just uncheck that box and let all the Camelback flow through. Further, oh, this is good. This is one of my favorite examples. You can have a combination of brand and category. So, for instance, I don't like cat eye computers. I never did. I didn't like installing them when I was working in the stores, but I love their flashy lights. I love their little tail lights and headlights. So, what I would do is click the brand, but then come into the actual category, and I would exclude the computers, but I would not exclude their flashy lights.
Mhm.
And so you have that granular level of control. So anything in our catalog structure, you can do that with. You can exclude or let through for that
Mhm.
rather than excluding everything like this is.
Yeah. So lots of control. So brand or well, at the highest level, like the screen they're on right now, you check the box, turn it on.
Mhm.
When you dig into brands and categories, you check the box to turn it off.
Correct. Yeah, it's a little backwards. And sometimes we do see that. For instance, we might come into, it's common with a brand like Trek,
Mhm.
where you go, oh, I want Trek. And then somebody doesn't realize that. And you'll see like 86 excluded brands. That's the tip off that maybe you've got it backwards. Of
Yeah.
course, the other big tip off is you're just out here looking and you're thinking to yourself, why aren't there Electra bikes showing up? There should be Electra bikes showing up. And it's probably because you've thought of that back. And it's not it's a common mistake and it's fair, right? Because you're
Mhm.
checking the box and it's kind of backwards. So just keep that in mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What else? What did we miss?
I don't know.
Did we want to touch on kind of the marketing piece?
Sure. Yeah. I think when you well, I don't know, what are you thinking?
I didn't know if I mean, one, I think having your catalog is a marketing asset. That's going to be great for SEO. I think that's a good point to touch on.
Hmm.
Um, I don't know if just in general, if you gotta let people know you have this.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's the best, the quickest marketing tactic. Engage your consumers, let them know that all that you can get in addition to what you have.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's a great point. And also to the extent that if you're doing proactive marketing like email marketing or paid Google ads,
Mhm.
you can run ads against that warehouse inventory as well. So not
Yeah.
only can you display it on the site and let it help organically with just normal searches, but you can also run, and our ads team does a fair amount, run ad campaigns based on products that are in the Supplier Sync feed. And even more detailed, you can get into campaigns around products that could be fulfilled by the supplier.
Mhm.
And this is a good thing to look at too as you think about that. Make sure you let your customers know that it's just like I said. You tell them in the store, oh, we can get almost anything for you.
Mhm.
Well, show them with Supplier Sync on your website. But look at these numbers. There's 434 road bikes displaying on this demo site. Again, because every supplier, most stores won't be like this. It'll be a big difference. Maybe not this big, 605
Mhm.
mountain bikes. But if you come up here to what's in stock, it's 28. And that is a big differential. But often we'll see there's 1,200 or 1,400 products, which could be 3 or 4,000 SKUs by the time that breaks out. display it on the website, and there's nowhere near that many, excuse me, 10 or 12,000 SKUs displayed on the website, but there's nowhere near that much stuff in the store. There's maybe only 1,000 in the store,
Mhm.
but that's the differential that allows you to present this to your customer base, win more of those searches, convert more of those sales right now. Cause that's kind of how people do things now. They search for the thing. They've really probably done some research on what they want and thought about it and talked to friends, and they're searching for that specific thing. And this allows you to win those searches because you have more of those specific things on your website.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good.
But I love Supplier Sync. I think it's incredibly powerful.
It is.
Encourage you to go in, check it out, review your settings, and let us know if we can help you out.
That's right. Yeah, reach out to the support team,
Mhm.
support@workstand.com if you have questions about it. Remember, when you make those changes, I'll give one last little pro tip. This is a lot's going on in the background when you make these changes. So
Yeah.
when you do that and press this save down here and save it, it's going to take it a minute to 3 or 4 minutes to finish that save because of all that's going on.
Mhm.
So give it a little time and then the site needs to index. So make your changes, save it, give it an hour or so, and then come back and make sure it's doing what you want it to do. And if you have questions, always reach out to client success or any of us here at Workstand.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, I think we're taking Friday off. I'm taking Friday off. I want to go Nordic skiing.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Uh,
no daily tomorrow.
no daily tomorrow, but we'll be back on Monday.
Sounds good. Well, I'll see you then.
We'll see you then. Bye.
That ended quick today.
Oh yeah.